Duelist Spaceman Jew here, back at you with another video. So on today, I have test hands, Decklist, and Duels for pure vampires. This does not include Zombie World or Doom King Baladrot. This includes just Vampire Kingdom. Okay, now they're really fun. Vampires, when you do play them, you have to be creative, and they kind of are a technical deck. You have to be smart and tactful in what it is that you're doing. You have to really pay attention, mostly because you have to pay your own life points to activate the effect of your vampire monsters. And they range anywhere from 2,000 all the way to as low as 5,000. The highest that you can go, I believe, is 3,000 when paying for, to activate their effects, paying the cost to activate their effects. So you have to be tactful, you have to be smart in what it is that you're doing, and not just to activate their effects, but just your combos and plays. You have to be very smart. Not only that, you have to be patient. They're going to take some time to get used to. They're also going to take at least a turn or two to start to get going. Okay, they're not going to just straight just run over your opponent with some big, stupid, crazy board. No. And not only that, pure vampires with Vampire Kingdom, it's really matchup dependent, very matchup dependent. So if you're playing against zombies, that's a real good matchup for you. You're most likely going to win this matchup due to Vampire Sucker's effect. And not only that, just Vampire Kingdom and your vampire monsters in general, because they're all zombie monsters. So that's a real strong, any zombie deck is going to be real strong matchup for you. Okay, it's going to be a very good matchup for you. But a matchup, say like Eldritch or Sky Striker, where they want their cards to be into the graveyard, yeah, your milling effect is going to work against you. Pure vampires want to mill, right? And you're going to want to use your Vampire Grace, Duke, Lord, and Lady to help with milling cards, your opponent's cards, which are going to be monster, spell, and trap cards. The card that you're going to want to mill are going to be spell cards, because spell cards are some of the most powerful, if not the most powerful card in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! So you want to mill spell cards. So without any further ado, let's get into the deck list. Okay guys, here's the deck list. I'm not going to go over every card, just really your key cards. Vampire Kingdom is integral to the milling strategy, right? Because whenever you mill a card from your opponent's deck, or whenever your opponent just sends a card, to activate whatever effect from the deck to the graveyard, Vampire Kingdom will activate. It will activate every single time. Even though it's a once per turn, it will still activate even if your opponent just, sends a card from the graveyard to activate one of their effects. Vampire's Domain is really good. It gives you extra normal summon. So you will have your initial normal summon, and then you will have a second normal summon through Vampire's Domain, and then a third normal summon through Vampire's Ghost. So you can normal summon a total of 3 times, depending on what your hand looks like and the state of the game. Unizombie, really good. This is one of your combo starters. Same thing with Vampire Ghost, combo starter. Vampire's Domination, this is your Omni Negate. Boss monsters, Baron the Floor, Sword Soul Supreme, Chinyin, Red Eyes, Zombie Dragon Lord. Then you have Sheridan, the Zombie Vampire. Okay, another integral part is Vampire Sucker. This whenever a zombie monster is special summoned from the graveyard, you get to draw 1 card. We have our Searchers, Retainer, Familiar. Then we have our Millers, Vampire Grace, Vampire Lady, and Vampire Duke. These are our millers. The cards that you're going to want to mill are going to be spell cards, because those are some of, if not the most powerful cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! And depending on the matchup, this can work in your favor, or this can make things a little bit harder, like Eldritch or Sky Striker. which Sky Striker wants spells in the graveyard, and Eldritch don't really care because their spells that are in the graveyard they can use their spells to search for the traps of the cards. So you have to think about that when playing against those decks. Outside of that, board breakers, forbidden droplets, change of heart, and super polymerization. Outside of that, that's really it. It's really, really simple. So now let's get on to the test hands. Alrighty guys, so here is the first test hand, and this is just a basic hand. We have our combo starter, Vampire Ghost, Vampire's Domain, few trap cards, and as well as retainers. So first things first, we're outright. We're going to activate Vampire Domain effect, get that right out the way. Summon Vampire Ghost, activate Ghost effect. We're going to send retainer. We're going to get, well, if you want, you can get Vampire Duke or Grace or whatever cards you want. But where we're right now, we're going to get the Shadow Vampire. We're going to send Familiar to the grave. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to activate, doesn't matter which one, but for the sake, we're going to activate Familiar. We're going to send Domain to the grave. Activate Familiar's effect. The card that we want to get could be, sure, we'll get Grace. Then we're going to activate Retainer. Okay, and we're going to send Grace to the grave. We're going to activate Retainer's effect. We're going to search for our field spell, Vampire Kingdom. Activate Kingdom. Okay, now because we already activated our Vampire's Domain, we get another normal summon. So what we're going to do is we're going to normal summon over our Vampire Ghost. Activate Shadow Vampire's effect. The card we're going to special summon is going to be our Vampire Duke because we want to mill twice in this turn. Activate Duke's effect. Mill spell cards. Now Grace effect is going to activate because a level 5 or higher vampire or zombie monster was special summoned to our field. And this does hurt. Now, to get rid of that back row, because we don't know what that is, right? We're going to send Vampire Grace to the grave. I mean, not Vampire Grace, Vampire Sorcerer. Then we're going to activate Grace's effect. We're going to mill twice. And then we're going to go into the battle phase. We're going to attack with our Vampire Duke. Now there's a few plays that we can go into, right? We have our, we can go into our Imperial Princess, but we don't have another level 5 monster in the graveyard. Or we can go into our Crimson Knight, Vampire Bram. But first, obviously, let's go into Vampire Sucker, which we should have already have been went into before we summon Grace, so that way we get to draw one card, but it's totally cool. Now what we get to do is we get to set and set. And this board, as you can see, it's really simple. It's nothing too big. And if you want, like I said, you can go into your Crimson Knight Bram, just so you can have one of your vampire boss monsters out. It's really not too much that this card can really do, in my opinion. We can target this card and special summon it, which we are going to do in defense position. Draw a card, and then, oh, we can't special summon any more monsters. It sucks, unless they are dark monsters. We are locked. So now we just end our turn. And like I said, this is a big, huge board because of our first hand, but this is something that's to get you started, right? We don't have any negates, which really sucks. If you want, you could take out Vampire Takeover and you could put in 3 copies of Vampire Domination, or Infinite or another or one single copy of Infinite Imperm. But this is really simple, really basic. What you're going to be doing is, if you don't have Vampire Kingdom in your hand, try to get to Vampire Kingdom, and you're going to want to be breaking your board through Vampire Kingdom's, breaking your opponent's board through Vampire Kingdom's effect by milling cards with Vampire Grace, Duke, Lady, and Lord. By milling cards, you get to destroy and break your opponent's board. Even though this is a once per turn, this is very, very strong. So, say for example, we have Vampire Awakening, and if Vampire Duke was in the deck, but what we do have in the deck is Vampire Scarlet. So on our opponent's turn, we can, when our opponent sets a card or have a monster card, like so, we can activate Vampire's Awakening. We're going to special summon our Vampire Scarlet Scrooge. Scarlet Scrooge is going to activate effect. We're going to special summon our Vampire Duke. We get to draw a card because of Vampire Sucker's effect, and also activate Vampire Duke's effect. We get to mill a card from our opponent's deck. And then send the card to our graveyard. Let's send a familiar. Now our opponent has to end their turn. So you really interact with your opponent through the use of Vampire Kingdom. As well as, don't forget Vampire Ghost in the grave. On your opponent's turn, you can normal summon a Vampire monster. It's a quick effect. So if you have Shadow Vampire or Scarlet Scrooge in your hand, or even Vampire Duke, because Vampire Duke allows you to special summon a Vampire monster from your grave. So you can special summon Grace, or you can special summon Scarlet Scrooge, and then special summon another Vampire monster. These cards are crucial to your game plan and what you want to do, right? You want to mill cards from your opponent's deck and destroy cards with that effect through the use of Vampire Kingdom. Now your opponent it's going to be hard for your opponent to do anything. So you activate Vampire Graces, send more spell cards. Now we get the pop a card. And we're going to send Vampire Lady. Okay, now our opponent's field is wide open. We can still activate Vampire Sucker's effect. We have a lot that we can do here. We can even make a Baron de Fleur if we want it, right? Normal summon Unizombie. We can send Retainer to the grave, which would make Unizombie a level 4. And then 6 and 4, because Vampire Grace is 6, that's 10. So we have a lot of crazy things that we can do right here. So now we're going to get on to the second test hand. Okay guys, so here we are, we're going first. Okay, and remember, we're playing against the Mayakashi, right? And Mayakashi has zombie monsters. And guess what we have, what we can do through the use of Vampire Sucker. Vampire Sucker is very interesting. So if you attribute a monster for a tribute summon, you could attribute a zombie monster your opponent controls even though you do not control them. So this is very strong. In the zombie matchup, Vampire Sucker is very, very strong. Okay? So we have an okay hand here, right? We have Ghost, Duke, Kingdom, and Vampire Domination. So obviously, we're going to normal summon our Vampire Ghost. We're going to send Duke to the grave. The card we're going to get to from our hand is going to be our Shadow Vampire, because why not? We're going to send our Retainer to the grave. We're going to activate Retainer's effect. We're going to have to send our Vampire Domination. Activate Retainer. Now, if you want, we could get another Domination or we have our field spell already. So there's a few things that we can get. We can get our Vampire's Desire, which this is kind of sort of like a Monster Reborn in theme. Or we can get our Vampire's Domain, so that way we can get life points, because we are draining life points from ourselves. But what we're going to do is we're going to get our Vampire Awakening. We're going to activate our Vampire Kingdom, and then we're going to set our Vampire Awakening. We're going to go into our Vampire Sucker. And then, this is what we're going to do. We're going to end our turn. So now, this board does not look very strong. Obviously, because this is pure vampire. Pure vampires are not, their decks are not going to be that strong. Not their decks, but their boards are not going to be that strong. So, but you have to get very intuitive. So now, what we have here are a couple of things that we can do. We have Ash Blossom in hand, so we can stop this play if we want. But because we have Vampire Kingdom, what we get to do is we get to special summon a vampire monster from our deck. And you should already know which ones we're going to special summon. So let's activate Vampire Awakening. We want to special summon our Scarlet Scrooge, because our Duke is in the grave. Activate Scarlet. And we get to draw a card because we special summon from the grave. We mill a card. Draw a card. Now all of this activates before our opponent can do anything. We're going to destroy. And the card that we want to send, it doesn't really, honestly, truly matter, but let's send Vampire Grace, because what we're going to do is going to be kick ass. That was not foreseen. Our opponent is interacting with this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, when you activate Vampire's Ghost effect in the grave, this has to be Chain Link 1. This cannot be Chain Link 2. This has to be the start of it, or else your Vampire Vamp and Shadow Vampire will miss timing. That is crucial. You have to be tactful when you're playing with vampires. So we're going to activate Vampire's Ghost effect. What we're going to do is we're going to normal summon our Shadow Vampire, and we obviously have to tribute, but because we have Vampire Sucker on the field and our opponent's playing other zombies, we can tribute one of their zombie monsters even though we don't control them. So obviously we want to tribute the opponent's what is this, Daki? Yeah, we want to tribute this because the opponent wants to synchro summon. Tribute this. We're going to activate our normal summon now. We want to, now we can special summon our Fraulein, right? Our Fraulein will up our our combat capabilities, right? So we get to be crazy with our defense when it comes to it, and our attack. But let's summon our boss monster, because our opponent still does have that in the graveyard. It's, you know, we want to kind of shut down graveyard effects, and Voivode gives us a graveyard negate. Now, Grace's effect. We're swarming the field with our vampire monsters. And that was just all off one card. Now, we activate Vampire Grace's effect. We get the mill card. Card we're going to send. It doesn't really matter what we send to the grave. It really doesn't. because we have game. Now, if you want, you can activate Retainer's effect. Sounds familiar. Activate Sucker. Obviously, Sucker's effect activate. We're just constantly getting hand advantage. And if you want, you can get your Vampire Domination to set up for next turn. We drew a card. Now we can go into our level 5. And this is pretty much it, guys. Set our Vampire Domination. And we have something else we can do. We can detach our Vampire Duke. We can special summon a Daki. And then we can make our Zombie Vampire. Or, because that's a tuner, we can make our tuners. Which would be kind of fire, because Red Eye Zombie Dragon Lord, we get to special summon our Vampire Duke, which obviously activates the effect of our Vampire Kingdom, so causing disruption there. So there's a few things that we can do. We get our ultimate boss monster, Zombie Vampire, Vampire Sheridan, or if we want, because this is a specific matchup that we have an advantage in, we can special summon whatever synchro monsters that we have in our extra deck, which is fire. Then on that, we still get to summon our Vampire Fascinator, which special summons a monster from our opponent's graveyard to our side of the field. This is crazy. Then not only that, it has some other things. We could take control of our opponent's monster into the end phase by tributating one of our vampire monsters. So we have disruption all over the place. Don't sleep on pure vampires, guys. So, as you can see, you have to play a couple of turns to really get going with a pure vampire deck, because you're just not going to have much. They need support, other support from, strong zombie support, especially with Zombie World and Doom King Baladrock. That's really, really what they need. But they're still fun to play just being 100% pure. They do take maybe a turn or two to get things going, but when you get going, it is extremely fun, and you can swarm the field, and there's so much different interactions you have with your opponent. as you guys can see, pure vampires are really fun. It might take a turn or two to get things going, but when they get going, they just completely take off. The milling effect is very fun, and it can frustrate your opponent, especially if the matchup is in your favor. But matchups like Sky Striker or Eldritch, just to give you an example, they want their cards in the graveyard, especially their spell cards, which is in my opinion the main card that you should mill from your opponent's deck. If you're playing a pure vampire deck, you should mill the spell cards. But like I said, Sky Striker and Eldritch are some of the archetypes that want their cards in the graveyard. So that will be detrimental. That matchup, those two matchups in particular, will be detrimental to you. You can win against those decks, but it's going to take some very intuitive thinking. So with that said, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Comment on this video, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can get notified for when I do upload new videos. And as always, peace.